Well, here we are. Tonight, this episode, it's all about Abraham. Abraham. Who is Abraham? Did Abraham actually exist? Is there any evidence for the biblical Abraham? If if we don't have an Abraham, do we have a Christian religion? Do we have a Jewish religion? Just questions. Just questions. So, welcome back to The Real God is Not in the Bible. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Reverend Valerie Love, also known as Kaisi, and I am in a deep dive of everything that I've been taught, deconstructing it. I grew up in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. Maybe you know that. Maybe you're new here. We have so many new people in our family. Come on, come on, come on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we absolutely love you. And this is all about love. This is about nothing other than pure love. That's what this is about. Because it is said that the truth sets you free, but first it pisses you off. Let's begin. We're all about Abraham tonight, so let's dive in. We have some really spicy, delicious things to talk about. Trigger warning: if you are really, really, really needing Abraham to be a literal human, this is definitely going to hurt your feelings. If you are needing Abraham to be an actual historical figure, this is definitely going to hurt your feelings. Christian witches, this is Witchy Wednesday, and every Witchy Wednesday I come to you. And right now we're in a series called "The Real God is Not in the Bible." Now, this is not to uh, down the Bible, bash the Bible. I love the Bible. I have many Bibles in my Bible collection. So, for anyone who thinks out there, I don't love the Bible, they don't know me because I love the Bible. I'm studying the Bible. I'm always reading the Bible. I'm always seeking to understand the Bible. And I do that independent of what was taught to me about the Bible. And I found the Bible to be not at all from God, not a holy book, not inspired. It's simply stories. It's a very human book. It's humanity's library. That's what I call it, along with all the apocryphal books that never made it into the Bible, some of the secret books that we talk about right here in this series, like the Book of Enoch. Go to those episodes. The Book of Enoch is probably one of the highest viewed episodes in this entire series. That the Book of Enoch is just extraordinary. It's an extraordinary superhuman experience. And when I say superhuman, I don't mean gods and goddesses of the mythological type. I'm talking about advanced beings who visited this planet or advanced beings who were on this planet. We have plenty of evidence for that. Pardon me. We have plenty of evidence for advanced beings on this planet. And we can't act like we don't. So this series is really about providing conclusive evidence that the Bible isn't from God because we are so caught up in the story. Many of humanity, many of us in human existence on this planet, at this particular juncture, about 1 billion people still believe the Bible comes from God, and they'll fight you over it. And why are we fighting about religion? No, 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 no. We're not doing that anymore. The time has come for peace on earth, for love for all people, for a beautiful, beautiful acceptance of all people like Christ did, whether they have a different religion from you, a different race from you, a different spiritual practice from you, different clothing than you, different language from you, different country of origin than you. We're going to dispense with any kind of discriminating factors against other people because they believe something different than we believe. That should be very simple. Yet, it's not. For thousands of years, humanity has been fighting over this, and we can stop. We can just stop. Abraham. Now, we have a conundrum when it comes to Christians. So, if you're a deconstructing, if you're like me and you were in a Christian experience and you were sitting in that Christian experience and you were scratching your head about some of these stories, the things didn't add up. Like Martin said, you put 2 and 69 together and you get 103. These things were not adding up when you were there. We have a conundrum, and this conundrum exists in religion. The conundrum doesn't exist outside of religion. Here is the conundrum that we're faced with. A conundrum is a perplexing problem that has to be solved. We have a conundrum. And religion tells us first, religion presented us with people who are completely fictional, right? Or if they're not wholly fictional, what they did and what they said is probably 90% fictional, right? So it's not like now the actual historical Moses never existed. Yet it's not like a Moses like character didn't exist. I mean, we have Sargon of Akkad, the Akkadian Empire, and Sargon was put in a basket and floated on the river, the Euphrates River, I believe it was in Mesopotamia, by his mother, who is a priestess, and she couldn't be pregnant because she was in a temple. And so, because she was in this temple and she was a priestess in the temple, she couldn't get pregnant, but obviously she was having, some fun with a lover or whatever. And she got pregnant and she hid the pregnancy. And then when she had the baby, she couldn't reveal it. Obviously, I don't know how she was a priestess all this time and no one found out that she had the baby. They must have been wearing long flowing robes, but women can hide things. And she hid the baby and she had the whole baby. She probably had a couple of her friends there that were priestesses and they helped her hide the baby. The pregnancy. Then they helped her birth the baby and then get rid of all the evidence. And she wrapped the baby and floated the baby in a basket sealed with bitumen or pitch to make it waterproof among the reeds on the river. And then somebody else found the baby, not a pharaoh, farmer found the baby in this version of the story. Well, doesn't that sound like the Moses story? Like, come on. So we're not going to say Moses was completely invented. No, Moses was a hero made up by a group of people who wanted this fictional character, and they drew pieces of this character from the prevailing mythos, the prevailing zeitgeist, the stories that they all had access to and that they all knew about in Mesopotamia, which would have included Sumerian legend, Akkadian, Assyrian, Babylonian, and then moving over to Canaan, the Levant, Egypt. All of these people living in that region of the world had access to the Mesopotamian stories. They would have known about Sargon of Akkad. We don't know about Sargon of Akkad unless you studied that kind of history. In church, they never taught you about Sargon. So you think that Moses was the only baby in a basket. And maybe you never went to Egypt and when you went there, you found out, well, Isis put Horus in a basket sealed with pitch in a basket and floated him on the Nile River to hide him from his uncle Set, who wanted to kill him after he killed Osiris. Or there was Osset, Osor, Heru. Those are their Egyptian names. And they are part of the Neter, NTR. NTR could be nectar, it could be enter, it could be nature. We don't know how to pronounce NTR. So they were part of the Neter, the ancient Egyptian divinities. And so there we have a baby in a basket in a river. And I mean, we got babies in baskets and rivers, but if you don't know about any of that, you'll think that Moses was some kind of God being that just floated straight from heaven, and he came and it's the miraculous birth, and he's in this basket, and Pharaoh's daughter finds him, and they're trying to figure out which Pharaoh it was. Was it Queen Hatshepsut? And took him into the palace and raised him as her own. And then we know the Moses story. So we can't say that the Moses personage of Moses, this whole personality that they concocted, we can't say that it's totally mythological because it is based on other stories. And some of these stories could have been connected to actual people. So you see how stories develop over time, and we add to it and we embellish it and we expand it and we tweak it. And that's what humans do. We're doing that right now with Harry Potter. let me come off screen share for a second about this. We're doing it right now with Harry Potter. What do I mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean by that. Let's talk about it. Okay, so you have the original books, 8 books written by J.K. Rowling. And she also wrote this series, Fantastic Beasts, and where to find them or how to find them. Pardon me if I don't know the exact right title. Super chat, money in the vortex, money in the vortex, money in the vortex. Woohoo! I knew that was Calvin. Before I even looked at it, I was like, I bet that's Calvin, because Calvin is like that. Love you, Calvin. Thank you so much for the super chat. You are such an incredible supporter of this channel. It has been for years. Mwah! And hugs, and I love you for that. Thank you. So, Harry Potter is 8 books, right? Yet we have the movies, the 8 movies of Harry Potter, and you can see multiple YouTube channels that will show you where the movies differed from the books. We already morphed the story a little bit so that we could put it in movie form. Now they're doing a Harry Potter TV series. And of course, they're going to have to morph the story to make it work for TV. And then you have people who made The Cursed Child. And this is another uh, imagined piece of literature in the Harry Potter world. Yet, none of us for 1 minute think that Harry Potter is a real person, but they will make you think Moses is a real person. And the vehemence, they will be vehement about it, vehement about it. They will be enthusiastic about it. They will make you think that Moses is real. And he's no realer than Harry Potter. No realer than Harry Potter. Love it, love it, love it. Tasha, you are so freaking awesome and incredible. Tasha just gifted 5 memberships. Oh my God. Y'all can go in there right now and get the latest version of this book. The Real God is Not in the Bible. Yay, the ebook version. Yay. Oh, and by the way, when memberships are gifted in the chat, YouTube randomly picks who gets the memberships. Tasha let us know that she doesn't pick who gets the memberships. So I think that that's not my doing. That's not Tasha's doing. That's YouTube doing. I'm just very thankful. So I don't know how it does it. I don't know how it picks the people that are going to get the membership. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay! So you can see, oh my goodness, how important this is. And to all of you that received the memberships, yay, yay, yay. Congratulations, congratulations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. All right. Look at that. My mother and sister stopped talking to me because I was enlightened. Absolutely. That's exactly what will happen. Unique Organics Hair Care and everyone here, look at me and listen carefully to me. Your enlightenment is a threat to the be darkened. I'm going to say that again. That's a quote, that's a TikTok, that's a Twitter or an X statement, that's a quoter, that's a writer downer. Your enlightenment threatens the be darkened, because your enlightenment is shining such a bright light on all they believe, and they can't take it, and they're being disturbed, and they're beautiful people. They love us. They love us. We love them. We're just on different journeys. That's all. Just different. And we cannot, say that they're wrong and we're right or anything like that, because there's no really wrong or right about this whole thing. There simply is, what is your path? What most speaks to you? What most resonates for you? Right? That's where we're going. Get the book. It's all kinds of awesome. Thank you, Tasha. Oh my God. So amazing. So amazing. So, family, this conundrum. So now we understand that Harry Potter, and even if you look at the Cursed Child, another iteration, or addition, expansion to the Harry Potter story. Some people love it, some people don't. That's what we do with stories. We love stories. And why do we love stories? By the way, speaking of stories, members, go in there and get my first ever novel. Warning, it is spicy. Okay? It's spicy. Just a warning. So if you're reading it and you think Reverend Val wrote this book, you're like, oh my goodness, Reverend Val. No, my alter ego, Luna Bloodstone, wrote that book. The thing is spicy, okay? So if you go in there, and members, you will see the book in there, and you can get the book right now, and you can read the book right now. It is for sale for everyone else who is not a member. It is on sale right now in on I'm going to show this to you. It is right now on Amazon. Let me show you. Let's go to Amazon. This is my Amazon storefront. I'll just drop in my Amazon storefront link for you, because if you would be so kind as to shop with my link, that would be so amazing. I freaking love you for that. That's an affiliate link. So if we go to Amazon and we go to the Blackening of Lady London, you will see Blackening of Lady London by, let me put it up here, Luna Bloodstone. That is my pen name. Why is it not coming up? Why do I not see it here? I'm putting it in very clearly, Amazon. I'm putting it in very clearly. Why is it that you act like you can't find this book right now? Let me go through go through my history, and I'll find it for you. The Blackening of Lady London is the Blackening of Lady London by Blue. Let me go to books. That might help Amazon's algorithm a little bit. Come on, books. Boom. Paperback, $14.99. Okay, so here is the actual book, and it has one review so far, one 5-star review so far. That is me. I don't say the picture is not me. I'm saying that's me who wrote the book. This is my first novel. It is an epic novel in a fantasy series called The Annals of Heralda. This is my foray into novels. And if you are a member, you have access to this book right now. So go ahead and uh, go in there, members, and you can read it right now. No charge. Gift to all the members. Yay! Okay. Tasha says, but it's supposed to be a religion of love. They love you if you march in step with them. You're out ostracized if you do not. Absolutely. Well, that was exactly my experience, Tasha. That was exactly my experience. They were like, oh, you're off the script. And we're trying to run a doomsday cult around here. We need everybody to be online, army style, lined up in this doomsday cult. We can't have you over here being free. Child, they got rid of me so fast. When I came into who I really am, oh, they were like, oh, no, 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 we can't do this. Could you imagine me in a cult? I would be like, excuse me. Like every 5 questions, I would be like, excuse me. I, I have a question about that. Not disrespectful, simply, let's just have a conversation about it. And cults can never stand up to that kind of scrutiny. So I left. So here's the thing about stories. Humans, we love stories, and we use stories, right? The fifth house, aren't they all cults? Oh my goodness. We use stories to express our identity. We use stories to pass on to our children. Like they used to read to us before I was really deep into the cult when I was a little girl. They used to read stories to us about Brer Rabbit. I don't know if y'all remember Brer Rabbit and all these little adventures that Brer Rabbit used to have with the other animals and whatnot, because it was sort of like African American folk tales from the South kind of thing. And so all of these stories are like Aesop's fables. All of these stories have a point to them. Man, I never thought that there was a real rabbit running around talking to people. There's no real bird rabbit. Yet people do think rather than take the Moses story as a story, okay, this is a story, an interesting story, a piece of literature invented by a group of people for a purpose very important to them, has nothing to do with you. And Black people, please let me remind you that the Bible has nothing to do with you. Please let me remind you. These people weren't not nowhere near your origin. Black people, they be the ones with Jesus, Jesus. Jesus wasn't nowhere near your origin. Jesus was way up being crucified in Rome, and y'all were way down in the beautiful African continent, many different countries with very, very diverse. I won't even say countries because back then it probably wasn't really countries. It was divided differently. Very diverse religious practices, very diverse spiritual practices, and y'all forgot them, Black people. You just forgot your whole self. So now when you have a Black person come along and they return to Ifa, or they return to Yoruba, or they return to Santeria or Candomblé or Espiritismo for the Puerto Rican people, or Haitian voodoo or New Orleans voodoo or hoodoo, they want to return. They're feeling a call within their blood and bones to a more authentic inside of you, because your DNA, your ancestry lives in you, in your blood and bones. When you feel that call and you start doing those kinds of things, the Jesus people are going to come for your neck. They're coming for your neck. Coming for your neck. Why? Because, like I said earlier, your enlightenment threatens the be darkened. You cannot take your light to be darkened people because they'll fight you. They want to stay in Plato's cave, blind, looking at the shadows as if it's real. They're in Plato's cave, right? So, they're just, Black people are the most Jesus freaks of all the Jesus freaks. Maybe they're right up there with the other Pentecostal people and whatnot. The Black people love this church. They love this Jesus. But if you ask a Black person, who are the seven African powers? Who are the Orisha? Who is Alegua? Who is Oshun? Who is Yemaya, Yemoja, any version of her name? Who is Papa Legba? They ain't nothing but the demons. Wow, Black people. Why you think some Black people are just lost? Because they cut off from their spiritual inheritance that's in their own blood. I also have Scottish in my blood. And I always was drawn to Scotland. I was always drawn. And when I saw my DNA, I was like, well, there's no surprise there. Healthy dose of Scottish running through my veins. I could probably be a Druid, descended from some Druid. I might have Druidry in my blood. That stuff will speak to you. It will call to you. So for you to ignore whatever is calling out to you from your blood and bones to go for the colonizer's religion, and like I say, colonizer is not a color, colonizer is a consciousness. For you to go for the colonizer religion and be all the way 100% in with the colonizer's religion, that's a no. That's just a no. I digress. Let's go back to Abraham. I had to get the Black people straight for a second because I don't understand the Black allegiance to the slaver's religion. I don't understand that. I really don't. I don't think I've ever understood it. Even when I was in it, I was like, why are we doing this again? Like I needed constant retraining into the cult because my training wasn't holding it. It kept slipping. Like, why are we doing this? I kept answering. They were like, oh my goodness, let's double up on the indoctrination. It's not sticking. We need her to be all the way in. I was kind of like, I'm with y'all and I love y'all and I want to believe and I want to be a part. And something in me was always like, uh-uh. And then when I decided, okay, I'm going to go with what's happening in here. I'm just going to follow this. I don't know where it's going to lead me, baby. It led me to being a Christian widget, led me to talk all about witchcraft and magic and sovereignty and power and creation and manifestation. Oh my God. I did not know where my spiritual path was going to take me. And that's exactly what's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to know in advance what's going to happen. It's supposed to take you, whisk you away. And we say yes. And we let ourselves be transported. And you might find yourself on the top of a mountain, or you might find yourself chanting with some monks in the cave, or you might find yourself doing yoga, or you might find yourself in India or Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal. You might be like Doctor Strange in some Catmandu kind of place, becoming the next secret keeper of the mysteries, guardian of where the magic is. You didn't even know those things were going on this planet, and now you're starting to find out these things. Wow. Okay, so I say all this to say that stories are integral to our human existence. So the Bible is a collection of stories. We shouldn't rely on them as historical fact. Pardon me, the Hebrew Bible, and I'm going to say something in this. You have Scottish and Irish ancestors too, Carla. Oh my goodness. And you know what's amazing about the Scottish and Irish kind of lineage? I was always drawn to like the Celtic cross and Celtic things and Druidry. And I could never understand my fascination with that. Now I understand. I love the bagpipe. Like I love all things Scottish. I could never understand that. Like that's weird. No, it's not. So I'm not saying any particular strand of religion, of ancestry is better or worse. You might have Asian ancestors. You might have European ancestors. You might have African ancestors. You could have ancestors from who knows where. And all of that is flowing in your blood. It's in you. So the Hebrew people made up the Hebrew stories for themselves. It don't have nothing to do with the rest of the world. Their God that they adopted, Yahweh, who is a later iteration of originally one of the Anunnaki, and then for a while was a lesser Canaanite deity. A deity, Yahweh was a deity. He was a lesser deity of storms and thunder. This, even the AI agrees with me, this God that they have has nothing to do with you. And you see so many people, yeah, it's nothing but just Jesus, Yeshua, Yehoshua. That do you know that these people were making up an origin story? It's a people group that were emerging from Canaan, and they had to make up an identity for themselves. That's where you got the patriarchs. Abraham is not your patriarch. Abraham is not anybody's patriarch because Abraham never existed. So let's get back into the story about that. He's not anyone's patriarch because he never existed. He's completely not historical. So let's go and find out more about this. Let's continue. All right. So let's continue on with what I have prepared for us. Now, the conundrum is that religion has made up these fictional characters, Moses, Joshua, Abraham, 12 tribes of Israel. I'm coming for the 12 tribes of Israel next week. Get all your 12 tribes, get all your Hebrew Israelite people together for next Wednesday, because the 12 tribes of Israel, no. We're going to break that down too. No. No. So when we look at all these fictional characters that religion presents us with, that we're supposed to believe in, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Joshua, we know them, that we are absolutely to believe were real people. It convinces us that we have to find the proof that these people never existed. Think about that now. Think about the reverse psychology that religion has run on us. They invented characters They gave them to us, and then they told us if we didn't believe in those characters, well, you have to prove they never existed. What? Now that's a piece of circular argumentation. What can you do with that circular debate? Their lies are that good. They made up the people. They made them up. Abraham, Moses, all of them. They invented them. And then they told us the burden of proof. If you don't believe in our invented characters, the burden of proof is on you to disprove them. Well, that's interesting. So their lies are that good that they believe them. Now, I know a lot of pastors don't believe them because a lot of pastors went to school and are finding out a lot of the things and already learned a lot of the things that we study here because we are researchers. We are critical thinkers. We're not believers. I don't want to be a believer. I don't want to be a believer in anyone, anything, or anyone. I just want to know the truth. That's all I really want to know. Like what really happened. That's all. It's very simple. And no lie is good enough, however, to escape the truth forever. Now, although Abraham is a wholly fictional character, a mythology, right? The minimalist Bible scholars, the historical Bible scholars who are rigorous and historical in their approach, know that there is no such person as Abraham. There's nothing attesting to Abraham outside of the Hebrew Bible. The only place that Abraham is spoken of is in the Hebrew Bible. The only place. You will find Christians that will fight you over him. If you say you don't believe in him, they'll tell you, prove it. Then, when you bring proof from scholars, from archaeology that is rigorous and historical in its approach, not Bible scholars that want you to keep believing the Bible story no matter what, those are apologetics. We're not talking about the apologetic scholars that these Bible scholars that you just have to believe the Bible. And so they go out and they look to find some evidence to prove their story is true rather than simply going out and looking at the evidence and rigorously examining the evidence before them. If you say that you don't believe in Abraham, they'll tell you to prove your point. And when you point to books that prove the point, they say, you believe that book, but you don't believe the Bible. You can't really get you can't get through to these people because it's a circular argument. You just be running around in circles. Well, why you believe that book, but you don't believe the Bible? People have said that to me in the comments, literally. It's like, wow, wow. They say that on TikTok too, on the Christian Witches TikTok. Wow. Like the comments on the Christian Witches TikTok, you could just sit there and be in absolute entertainment mode when you look at those comments on the Christian Witches TikTok. I'm just going to show it to you and I'm going to drop the link to the Christian Witches TikTok in the chat because if you read the comments, if you read these comments, you will know what I'm talking about. That people are now, most of the people on there, they're like, yeah, oh my goodness, I never knew that. Oh, thank you for saying that. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, wow, wow, wow. That's most of the people. Every so often, you are going to have people who say, oh, yeah, Christians, because they have to hold on to that belief that the Bible came straight from heaven, the inerrant word of God, even though it's been proved 50 million ways to Sunday that it's not. Um, They'll say, well, you believe that book, but why? How come you believe that book, but you don't believe the Bible? I don't believe a book of history. It's like, it's like somebody saying President Lincoln got shot, right? Abraham Lincoln. Well, you believe Abraham Lincoln got shot? It's not a belief. It's an actual historical event, according to what we've been told. And I don't know, maybe if somebody out there has evidence to the contrary, help me out. As far as we know, there was a man named Abraham Lincoln who was one of the presidents of the United States, and he was assassinated. According to what we know, there was a John F. Kennedy, one of the presidents of the United States, and he was assassinated. And many people saw him be assassinated, widely known. I don't believe JFK. Why do you have to believe that? You don't have to believe. Belief goes out the door in the face of facts. Because religion doesn't have facts, they have to settle for belief. You have to believe them. Just believe. Well, I'm not in the belief. Just not. Okay. Abraham. Now, here is the reason. And I'm going to give you an amazing book. I'm going to bring the receipts like I always do. Where you can go study this for yourself. Don't believe a random Christian witch on YouTube. I'm not looking for disciples. I don't need disciples. I'm not Jesus. I would love to be like Christ, but I'm not Jesus, right? I would love Christ consciousness, whether he was a real person or not, doesn't phase me one way or the other. I'm talking about Christ consciousness, which is an ideal far beyond a physical person named Jesus or Yeshua. The reason Christians need Abraham to be a historical figure, they need for him to have lived because their religion falls apart without him. So they did a bad job in Christianity. Now, it's okay among Jewish people. I have no issue with Jewish people whatsoever. I think it's wonderful that they made up their own stories. I think it's wonderful that they made up their own. The Hebrew people coming out of Canaan, the Israelites, later Judaism became the worship or the practice that was later. The Israelites, when they began to emerge and they wanted to make a nation of themselves and they wanted to make an origin story, great. The issue is that Christians think that that's their origin story. So, Christianity, they did a bad job of setting up their religion on myths and legends because now everybody can go and look up and see that Abraham wasn't a real person. So, the whole religion starts to fall because we need Abraham for the religion. Why do we need Abraham for the religion? Let's go through it. Because Abraham made the covenant, quote unquote, with God. He was talking to the Anunnaki. We're going to talk about Abraham and the Anunnaki in a moment. Supposedly, Abraham made a covenant with God. And when he made this covenant with God, I shall multiply your seed. Of course, we know that story. And then Abraham gave birth to Isaac, right? Well, first he gave birth to Ishmael by Hagar. That's another story. Ethiopian lady. Yet Isaac was the quote unquote child of the promise. So you have Abraham who begat Isaac, Isaac who begat Jacob, and Jacob and Esau. Really interesting stories. How many twins were in the Bible and how many barren women were in the Bible that birthed these incredible people. That's another thing that I discussed in this series. Go look it up. How so many of the Anunnaki were involved with these very amazing birth stories. A lot of these women couldn't have babies. They were either virgins or they were barren or something was going on. And that denotes a very special person is going to be born. And I suspect Anunnaki influence in a lot of those stories where they did their assisted fertility. They were very good at assisted fertility. They were good at fertility, period. Anywho, and specifically the Anunnaki, specifically that was excellent at fertility is Ninhursag. Ninhursag, who is the chief medical officer. I know it sounds like every time I say that, it sounds like Star Wars or no Star Trek, where they had a chief medical officer and they had a chief communications officer. Uhura, remember the black lady, the only black lady in the 60s, and she was looking all fine and fabulous. We were like, how did a black lady get on TV in the 60s? Or her boots or 70s, whatever, whenever Star Trek was out, the original Star Trek. And she had on her little, thing on her ear that tells I'm picking up something. And she was so beautiful, with her bouffant wig. We just love her. Well, it was like that they had officers for different functions. And Ninhursag was a fertility specialist. She was the one that helped to genetically engineer the human race. We are GMO. We are genetically modified. We are genetically modified organisms. Show you all of that in the book. Anywho, so Abraham has Isaac. Isaac has Jacob. Jacob has the 12 sons, right? And then 12 tribes of Israel become this great nation, and there's going to be some savior, and he's going to be born of the tribe of Judah. We know the story, the Lion of Judah, and then David, and then Solomon, and then a few more generations. And they read about it in Matthew, even now that's not an accurate genealogy. And then we have Jesus, and he's supposed to be, yay, the savior of it all, even though that's not what the Bible says. That's what religion says. That's not what the Bible says. So they did a bad job of setting their religion up on the fallacy, on a mythical character, Abraham, because if Abraham's not real, the whole thing falls down. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? I hope this is super clear. Let's look at a book. Let's look at a book. Let's look at a rigorous professor. I give you professors, I give you researchers, I give you archaeologists, I give you sources every single week. I love reading these books. They're shocking. Some of these books are shocking. I haven't read this one yet. This is going to be one of my next ones to read. The Historicity of the Patriarchal Narratives, The Quest for the Historical Abraham by Thomas L. Thompson, Professor of Old Testament, University of Copenhagen. His books also include The Mythic Past and the Early History of the Israelite People. Now, what does he say? I'm going to read to you, and this comes from the description of the book. Archaeology seems to have become an active partner in the attempt to prove the historical truth of the Bible. So, what he's saying is archaeology is now trying to prove the Bible. Biblical archaeologists, not historical archaeologists, who are just looking in the ground for what's there and examining the evidence for what it is. Biblical archaeologists have gone to the field in search of Noah's Ark on the walls of Jericho, as if finding of these artifacts would make the events of Scripture somehow more true or real. If they found a Noah's Ark, that means everything that the Bible said about Noah must be true. If they find the walls of Jericho, that means everything the Bible said about Jericho must be true, including blowing trumpets and the walls falling down. Now, we could use common sense to know that that's not so. That's not how it works. Thomas Thompson is one of the most vocal contemporary critics of biblical archaeology. He's criticizing that view. He's criticizing the archaeologists who are biblical archaeologists who are going to look for bones of Jesus, bones of St. Peter, the cross that Jesus died on. They're looking for all these artifacts because if they find an artifact, that means the whole thing's true. What a faulty argument. That argument is so full of holes. It's a Swiss cheese. Just call it Swiss cheese. Okay? His simple but powerful thesis is that archaeology cannot be used in the service of the Bible. Focusing on the patriarchal narratives, the stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he demonstrates that archaeological research simply cannot historically substantiate these stories. This is a man who has studied this. He is a professor of the Old Testament. This man knows what he is talking about. I don't know it like he knows it. That's why I read all different types of literature to help me understand. And then I use critical thinking skills and I meditate and I allow it to ruminate and see what comes forth as truth. I love to read about archaeology. I love to read about history. I love to read about biology. I love to read about astrology and astronomy because when you start to put all these things together, quantum physics, uh, all of these things, when you start to look at all of these things, a picture starts to form and you get a more holistic view. But people that read the Bible, they only want you to read the Bible. His simple but powerful thesis, okay, I already said that. He demonstrates that, right, archaeological research cannot substantiate these stories. These stories are not historical. Thompson says that archaeological materials should never be dated or evaluated on the basis of written texts. So you pull something out of the ground and you say, I wonder how old this bowl is, this piece of pottery is. And then you look at the Bible and say, well, in this area, so and so happened. Oh, this must be from that time. We cannot do that. Looking to the patriarchal narratives in Genesis, he concludes that these stories are neither historical nor were they intended to be historical. The people who were writing them didn't even act like they were history. Instead, these narratives are written as expressions of Israel's relationship to God. They're writing an origin story. I love reading those stories. I love reading the Bible. I just know it doesn't apply to me and it's not from God. I can read it. Now I can read it much more objectively because I'm not emotionally tied into, oh my God, this is what God wants me to do. And this came straight from God. I'm not tied into that anymore. So I can just let the Bible be what it is and love it for what it is, for the gory, creepy, wonderful, horrific, kill the women, kill the children, kill the babies, take people for slaves, beat this one, kill this one. I can take all of that with a grain of salt as very human activities, along with the Anunnaki. Now, let's talk about Abraham and the Anunnaki. Genesis chapter 18 is very strange. So we're gonna look at it. Now, the church is not counting on you reading the Bible. They're not, they're not. So I am going to show you this part of the Bible, and you tell me if this sounds strange to you or not. You tell me the strange parts of this. We're just going to read it. We're just going to look at it. And you tell me if this sounds, if something strange is going on with this story. So let's go to it. I pulled it up already. Because if they want us to believe the Bible and they want us to read the Bible, we need to read it. Okay, here's Genesis chapter 18. I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible, which is widely respected as a very good, accurate kind of Bible, New American Standard Bible, the NASB. So let's just read it. Just going to read a few verses here. Okay, now the Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre while he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. When he raised his eyes and looked, behold, three men were standing opposite him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed down to the ground. Now, so far, what are we getting from this story? They're trying to tell us this is God coming to Abraham. That's what the first sentence says. Okay, it's God, the Lord, right? Appeared to Abraham. But then when we go deeper into the story, it says he raised his eyes and he looked. Three men were standing opposite him. Okay. And said, so he goes, he bows down to the ground. My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and make yourselves comfortable under the tree. And I will bring a piece of bread so that you may refresh yourselves. After that, you may go on since you have visited your servant. And they said, so do as you have said. Now, why does God need God's feet washed, bread, and water? Okay. Let's say it's not God. Let's say church told you these were angels. They're not angels. I'm going to tell you exactly who they were. They're not angels. And I'm going to tell you why they were not angels in just a moment. Stick with it. This is so good. He prostrates himself. He sees these three men and he says, please, stay here. Super hospitable. Super hospitable. Please, let me get you water. Your feet are dusty from walking on the road. Let me wash your feet. And here, sit under the shade tree. Do you say that to an angel? Do you say that to God, or do you say that to three visitors that are walking along the road? Like, it's not brain science, brain rocket science or brain surgery. I put brain science together. It ain't hard to figure out. You just read what it says. Okay, we're gonna go further. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, quickly, prepare 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make bread cakes. Abraham also ran to the herd and took a tender and choice calf and gave it to the servant, and he hurried to prepare it. They're slaying the calf, they're baking the bread. He took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared and set it before them. And he was standing by them under the tree as they ate. He's standing there waiting on them. And they're eating. It's delicious. Does that sound like an angel to you? They're eating steak and bread, drinking water, and getting their feet washed in the shade under a tree. I'm just saying. None of that sounds, nothing that I'm reading here tells me that this is God that Abraham is talking to. Nothing that I'm reading here is telling me that these are angels. Nothing in this story is telling me that this is any other than 3 regular beings happening by his tent on a Friday afternoon. Okay, let's keep going. It gets weirder. Then they said to him, where's your wife, Sarah? And he said, there in the tent. Why are they asking about his wife? Why are these 3 men asking, where's your wife? She's in the tent. He said, one of the men, I will certainly return to you at this time next year, and behold, your wife Sarah will have a son. Now, weren't you told in the Bible, in church, that that was an angel of God? God's going to come and pour some pixie dust on her womb, and she's going to get pregnant, and she's 90, and Abraham is 99. They made this story up, but I'm going to show you how it has roots in Mesopotamia. It has roots. It has strands that they pulled from other stories. So Sarah laughed. Okay, Sarah, at this time, I'm going to come back in a year. This is what one of the men says. So if a man said that to you, these 3 men, one just asked you, where's your wife? Oh, she's in the tent. Okay, well, I'm going to come back 1 year from now, and she's going to have a baby. Okay, and Sarah was listening at the tent door, which was behind him. We know the story. Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age, and Sarah was past childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, after I've become old, am I to have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? Now, here's very interesting part right here. Look at this part. But the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I actually give birth to a child when I am so old? Is anything too difficult for the Lord? At the appointed time, I will return to you, and this time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah denied it, however, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. I heard you. Well, that's weird. Why is that weird? Y'all help me with this. Wait a second. Yes, they had IVF back then. Why is this part weird? There is so much to unpack in these little verses right here that it is insanity. First, how did these 3 men that are still out by the tree, they're not even inside the tent, here's Sarah? They ask, where is she? Which means they didn't see her, which means she was out of earshot. They did not see her. If you just follow the story, she's in the tent. She is listening to what they're talking about. And then she laughs to herself, inside herself, like, am I going to be married? And they hear her. How do they hear her? And not only do they hear her, she denies it. She's like, oh no, I didn't say that. So obviously, she didn't think that they could hear her. This is a weird story. This is a weird story. And they want to tell you that these are angels. And I'm going to show you in a moment that these are not angels. Yet they want to tell you that these are angels. Well, this is already a weird story because we got three men and we know where they're on their way to. Where are they on their way to? They're on their way to Sodom and Gomorrah. So not 9 times out of 10, I would bet money that this is Ninurta and Nergal. If you were to wonder who are the Anunnaki's visitors that came, because it is in their stories in the Era Epic. Look it up. The Era Epic. I pulled it up for you. Let's look at it. The Era Epic. I mean, anyone can go read this online right now. Don't have to take my word for it. Let's go look up the Era Epic. Boom. Era Epic. Here it is. So if you go look at the Era Epic, yes, it is on Zachariah Sitchin's website. If you don't like reading the Era Epic on his website, even though this is, as far as I know, it's a very good and true, it's just a translation of an actual ancient Babylonian manuscript. It's Babylonian. And it talks about Era and Ishum, yet it has roots older than Babylon. It goes back, like many of these stories, it goes back older, older, older. And in the Era epic, or the epic of Era and Ishum, there's different, we've talked about it here. It actually says the exact same lines in the Era epic that it says in the Bible, where now the three men are talking to Abraham and they tell Abraham, yeah, we're going to those cities over there because they're going to be destroyed, but we wanted to let you know, like we said last week, or was it week before last? Yeah, it was before the Ten Commandments, episode 49. Go back to it, where we talk about the Sodom and Gomorrah story. Matter of fact, if you look on, if you want a shorter version of it, go to the Christian Witches TikTok, and right here, you will see a shorter version of this. God didn't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, 140,000 views. People freaking absolutely love that story. I'll share it. Let me share it. I'll share the link with you in the chat here. Share, share. Let me share this with you. Actually, how about I just share this link right up top? Just do it very easy. Okay. So here you go. I'm just going to put this in the chat for you. So we know, first of all, we know from our research and from our deep dive into ancient Sumerian texts that God did not destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. No, and the Bible never even said it was quote unquote for same-sex relationships. The Bible never said that. People made that up. We talked about when they made that up. We talked about all of that and who was instrumental in making it up. It never happened. These cities were destroyed, and it says it in the Bible why they were destroyed. They were destroyed because of a political alliance. It says it right in Genesis that they were destroyed because the kings rebelled against the kings that they had sworn allegiance to. And so you had a political alliance which was fomented by the Anunnaki or the reigning powers, because they had their groups of people here and their groups of people here, and they're going back and forth fighting each other, and they have camps that are against each other. I got these kings over here, you got these kings over here. Enlil and Enki are always fighting back and forth between each other. Marduk is mad because he wants to now be the next ruler, because he feels like Enlil stole his inheritance. Enlil shouldn't be the ruler anyway of Earth. Enki really should be the ruler of Earth, and Marduk is Enki's son. So Marduk is just fighting for the chance to be the boss of the whole thing, because after all, his father Enki was the firstborn of Anu, the big Anunnaki person, the sky daddy that people keep praying to this day. He lived in the sky. And so when we look at the Era epic, we see the exact same line from the Bible where Abraham was negotiating with these men to please not destroy the whole city. Will you destroy the whole city because of a few? And he negotiates with God in the Bible from 50. What about 40? What about 30? What about 20? What about 10? All right, I won't destroy it if it's 10. It's a negotiation. It is based on the older Anunnaki stories. It's very obvious to me. It's very obvious to me from all the things that I've read. it's very clear how these stories unfolded. Okay, so Abraham is, so this is just before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's when this story is placed. Pardon me, just before these three men go on, because the Anunnaki Sky Council, spoken of in Psalm 82, Psalm 82 does talk about the Sky Council. Read it. See, all this stuff is right in the Bible. The church is making sure that we don't, they're very dependent and very smug in the fact that people don't read the Bible. So people will probably never discover these things because they don't read the Bible anyway. So Psalm 82 talks about the Sky Council, and the Sky Council had made a decision that they were not going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah without telling certain people. They weren't just going to blast it and kill everyone. There was a spaceport there. And so they were going to let the Anunnaki gods that worked at the spaceport know, of course. And they were going to let the lesser gods, the Igigi, or the Book of Enoch calls them the Watchers, they were going to let them know so that they could lift off in their little ships that you see all over ancient Mesopotamia. There's the sky ship. You see all over Hindu literature. You see all over America, the sky people. Like the sky people are all over the world. Why? Because they literally were all over the world. And they still are. I still believe that they're still here. Enki is just, because those people, they lived for like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years. They lived for tens of thousands of years. So it's quite possible Enki is still alive. He's probably listening to us right now saying, I like that lady on YouTube. I like her. Yeah, he's probably in the ocean because right there they see the ships, these speedy ships going in and out of the water, these UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. That's what they're calling it now, no longer calling it UFO, right? They're calling it UAP. So that's all good. Yeah, it is unidentified. It's anomalous and it is phenomenal. That's another way of saying we don't know what the fuck is going on. That's the scientific way of saying got no clue. The scientists are like, we got nothing. Well, we can't just tell the people we ain't got nothing. We can't just tell the people we don't know what it is. We have to come up with a fancy name. Okay, well, what kind of fancy name are we going to come up with? Well, it's unidentified. Unidentified. Yeah, yeah. All in favor of unidentified? Yeah, we could call it unidentified because we don't know what the fuck it is. Okay, could we call it, we can't call it a ship because we don't know if it's a ship, a plane, it goes into it's in the water, it's in the air, then it goes into the water. We don't know. Okay, how about we call it anomalous? That's a good, very vague word. We're just gonna make it anomalous. Yeah, okay, anomalous. Unidentified anomalous thingy. No, unidentified anomalous thingy. That doesn't sound scientific enough. We have to be smart for the masses. We have to come up with something the masses will believe. Okay? Uh let's ask ChatGPT. What would you call something? And it came up with, well, we would call it unidentified anomalous phenomena. Right. It's phenomena. It's just happening. we don't know when or where. It's just happening. They were like, all in favor? All in favor. And then they came out to the podium and they had a press release with Congress. Yes, this is called unidentified anomalous phenomena. And Congress was sitting there, whoa, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Have you seen this unidentified anomalous phenomena, this UAP? Yes, I swear that I've seen this, but I can't tell you no more because they put me on a gag order and I can't tell you nothing more about it. Did y'all watch these congressional hearings? Like, it was hilarious. So anyway, so they came up with, and I'm sure Inky is watching the whole thing saying, I thought we made him smarter than that, but apparently not. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to Abraham. So this whole idea of the Anunnaki interfering with human um, relations, human kings, human governments, they were running the whole thing. So they fomented the war that resulted in the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the destruction of the spaceships. It was there was one of their feuds, one of their intertribal feuds that they were always having, multiple feuds. They even had feuds on Mars because there is evidence on Mars of nuclear blasts. Like these people, these Anunnaki were blasting things. So, how do we know that these were not angels? Here's the kicker. And then we're going to wrap up with this. We're going to wrap up with this. Hold on. I'm going to show you that this is the kicker. You're going to love this. You are going to love this. Hold on. Let me show you this. Yep, the pyramid wars, all of it. Like all of this is common knowledge now. People can go and look this up. What I love is I love the Bible, and I came to all of this through the Bible is my guide of coming to all of this knowledge. Okay, so it says, then the men rose up from there and looked down towards Sodom. And Abraham was walking with them to send them off. The Lord says, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do, since Abraham will certainly become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed? For I have chosen him. So this is the Israelites once again creating their origin story using strands of existing legends about the Anunnaki. This is a well-known Babylonian story, the Era epic, and or it's also called the Epic of Era and Ishum. Era is Erra. Ishum is Ishum. If I'm not saying that right, I'm not Babylonian, so I apologize. That the Era epic was well known. It was they had festivals depicting the events of the Era epic every year. The Era epic was huge in Babylon. So the Israelites being in captivity in Babylon while they were writing the Bible, or where they got some information to write the Bible, where they got these legend stories to write the Bible, they would have known all about the Era epic. We don't know about the Era epic. That's our problem. So we think the Bible is original. It's not original. They're making up a story using elements that already existed. I don't say plagiarize, because it wasn't like just take the whole thing and smash it into our Bible. They're being somewhat creative with it. They're just drawing on strands of stories that they have already been hearing for tons of years. So in the Era epic, you have the same conversation that happens. One of the Anunnaki is talking to a person, and in the Anunnaki says, I'm just going to destroy it all. And the person says, are you going to really destroy the righteous with the unrighteous? It's almost word for word, verbatim. Read the Era epic and find it, and you'll see it. I think it's tablet 4. But you can read the whole Era epic right here on the website. It's not very long. It's only 5 tablets. Here's the Era epic. And it's also known as, like it says, the Epic of Era and Ishum. It is written in the first half of the first millennium BCE, so somewhere around 800 BCE in Babylon. Features Marduk, the god Marduk, and there you could just read it. It's right online in English. You can read it for yourself and see what you think. See if it sounds like the Bible. Sounds a lot like the Bible to me. Now, let's conclude with this. We've got to find out about this whole angel situation, because we were told, I read the Bible, Quran, and the Sumerian tablets. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I love that, because the Quran also has the Anunnaki in it. I love that. Nazca in Peru. Ooh, the Nazca lines. Nazca in Peru. Let's see. Nazca. Nazca in Peru tells a story of gene splicing. Absolutely. And do you know what else I have been studying lately? I have been studying lately that they say AI has successfully decoded the Olmec inscriptions, and they're talking about astronomy, DNA, genes, things that no one should have known when the Olmecs were on the planet. astronomy. How would the Olmecs have known about all of that? According to the traditional story that they would love for you to believe. Yay! That's my magic. Let's go to the angels. Why could these not have been angels? Because I'm going to say it again, like I've said many times, and like someone on Amazon got mad with me when I said this. There are no angels in the Bible. I did not say that there are no angels. I said there are no angels in the Bible. Here's how we know. Hold on. Let me show you. Let's go back to my notes. The three men have been depicted as angels. They're not. There are no angels in the Bible. Now, it's a very hard concept for Christians because we have been saturated with the idea of angels. And we have been told that the angels came from the Bible. Now, take a screenshot. And this right here, I created this chart. And when we do the Kickstarter for the paperback book and the hardcovers, special edition hardcovers, and all that, I'm going to include so many goodies. I'm going to include tables and all kinds of research and resources and all of that. A lot of digital goods I'm going to include with this book, pictures, videos, all that stuff on the Kickstarter, because I want us to be able to have real talking points when we're talking to people who believe and they want to call us crazy if they are open to learning. Now, if they're not open to learning, it's nothing you can do. Just talk to your friends that are in the enlightenment camp, that are in the advanced ancient civilization, occult learning, magical arts and sciences, people who are more open in their approach to humanity's origins. Here's what it looks like. Where did the idea of angels come from? Where? I had that question. If there are no angels in the Bible, where did this idea come from? How did it work? Well, let's go all the way back, way back when, to the Hebrew Bible. Those first, not just the Pentateuch, the whole Hebrew Bible, right? The Law and the Prophets, it's called, the Tanakh. What's the word that is used in original Hebrew? Malak. See this word right here? Malak. See this word? Malak. What does this word mean? It means messenger. It means messenger. There's nothing divine about it, nothing otherworldly about it, nothing supernatural about it. It could be the UPS man bringing a package. It could be the mail person bringing the mail. It could be the FedEx person. It could be a courier. It's just a messenger. It's just a messenger. Now, are we clear about that? Because if we're not clear about the origin point, we can't follow the story the rest of the way. Okay, it just means messenger. And when you read all the places in the Bible where that Malak word appears, oh, sometimes these messengers are stopping and they're getting some water and they're drinking water and this ain't no angel. Messenger. Now, when it was translated into Greek in the Septuagint used the word angelos in place of to translate, because in Greek, the word for malak or messenger is like angelos. Angelos also means messenger, but kind of maybe starting to get a little otherworldly, mystical. It still just means messenger. Then, when the Latin Vulgate was created by Jerome around the 4th century, he was commissioned by the Catholic Church. So he had to do it in accordance with the Catholic Church. He translated it from Greek, angelos, a messenger, maybe something special about the messenger, to the word Angelus in Latin, I don't speak Latin, angelus, which means divine messenger. Like, oh, you see, they're elevating the messenger to be something divine, something otherworldly. In Latin, this is Jerome and the Latin Vulgate. Then, when the Latin was translated into English in the earliest English Bibles, like the Wycliffe version, the Tyndale Bible, and the King James Version in the 1600s, they really amped it up and they put angel as messenger. But somewhere around here, around the 4th century or so, they start building on this idea of this divine messenger, something that comes from heaven, something. And if they looked at some of the old iconography, these beings did have wings. Well, did they have wings because they actually had wings and they were flying? Or did they have wings because that's what we think of angels? So if you go to the British Museum, let me see if I can pull up my pictures. Let me pull up my pictures right now from when I was at the British Museum. Actually, yeah, the British Museum. Let's go to that right now. So let's go on my Google Photos and let's go to my photos. And let's go to British Museum and Library, 2024, just last year I was there. And in the British Museum, I want to, boom, here it is right here. I took plenty of pictures of these beings. Okay, hold on, let me get you a good picture. Let me get you, boom. Do you see they have wings? These beings. Do you see? This one has wings. This one over here. Let me get you an even clearer picture. Here. Do you see this one has wings and a watch? This one has wings. Okay. Now, how do you have a watch when supposedly watches weren't invented yet? I'm going to show you another picture of them clearly wearing watches. Let me, do you see this? Hold on. Let me freeze it. Hold on. Do you see this right here? He has a watch on with, how do you, a watch, and some of them have 12. It's like some kind of celestial watch of the constellations with the same handbag that we see all over Mesoamerica. They're all having that handbag. They're carrying something in there, and they have the pine cone. It's a recurring motif. Look, they got the handbag. This one has the watch on. This one has and the one with the handbag has the wings and the pine cone and the watch. How are you going to have on a watch? What is this, like an Apple Watch? What is this? And no one can understand what this is. So it could have been that because they were looking at this iconography and they were looking at wings, they're thinking, these must have been some of the angels coming from heaven. Angelos, and then it turned into angel in our modern day Bible. What if they were simply wearing actual flight apparatus in order to escalate and de-escalate? What if they actually had wings? What if they were not angels? What if they, and I'm not saying these are not angels. There's no such thing as angels. I'm not saying that, because in the realms beyond, there's all kinds of spiritual beings. We're not talking about spiritual beings here. Here we're talking about actual, literal flesh and blood beings. The 5th house. Congratulations on becoming a member. Love it. Okay, let's go to Tasha. super chat. 68 watching, but only 35 likes. Let's get those likes up, family. She's feeding us well. Ooh, Tasha, you are so amazing. Money in the vortex. Money in the vortex, baby. Money in the vortex. So think about it. We don't have any angels in the Bible. We have messengers. So the men that were talking to Abraham were simply men. They weren't angels. They weren't advanced. Even the Bible tells us that in the made up version of the story. They were beings that were on their way to Sodom and Gomorrah because they would have known that these cities got annihilated, and they would have known that these cities were annihilated because there was some kind of rebellion of these kings against these kings, the 4 kings against the 5 kings. They would have known about the war. I love you, and I really, really, really love that so many of you are into this. Oh my God, I love it. Make sure you smash up the likes. Make sure you share this. Make sure you comment and let us know your thoughts on this. Make sure you let us know how your unfoldment spiritually is with this. And also, remember to leave a review on the book. Members, all the new members tonight. Yay! Welcome, new members. And let me share with you something that's going on right now at valerielove.com. I am doing a full moon ritual this Sunday, open to all. It's open to everyone. It is open to everyone. And when you go to valerielove.com, you are going to see here that there is a full moon ritual that we are going to be doing. Why are we doing this full moon ritual this Sunday? Now, on Sunday, it's a full moon. And we just had an incredible event last night. The full moon this Sunday is blood moon in Pisces. It's called the Crimson Tide Ritual. So I want you to go there, pop your name and email address in, and what you're going to receive are all of the ingredients list, all the ingredients so you can start preparing for the ritual and the steps for the ritual. This ritual, just like we do in the mystery school, you'll see a link to the mystery school under this video so you can get deep into your spiritual practices. Right now, we're deep into the study of tarot in the mystery school. We study the ancient mysteries. We study occultism. We do all of that in the mystery school, and it's super inexpensive to join the mystery school. It's open to everyone. The link is below. That we're having this full moon in Pisces ritual because Pisces is the most spiritual. Ooh, that's the chimes for the mystery school, because the mystery school is tonight at 9 p.m. I teach the mystery school at 9 p.m. tonight. You can hop in and be with us at 9 p.m. if you want. This Pisces is the most spiritual, sort of like, it's a spiritual container, according to Kabbalah. It's a spiritual container for all of the energy, all the spiritual energies of the entire zodiac, from Aries to Pisces. Pisces is like the holder, the collector of all of that energy. It's almost like it's coming to a culmination this Sunday, full moon in Pisces. And if you're watching this after September 7th, all you want to do is go to valerielove.com and see what is the latest that is coming up. So I want you to go there and get everything that you require for the ritual. Because once you pop in your name and email address here, it's going to take you to the page on my website where it will have a link. And I have listed out all of the ingredients for the ritual for you, so that you can prepare in advance. This is a lunar eclipse. That's why we're calling it the Crimson Tide Ritual. I will be at the beach doing this ritual, hopefully, because I'm going to DR Punta Cana this weekend. And so I will be in Punta Cana doing this ritual. And so I want to make sure that, I love that. Oh my goodness, I love that, Marielle Rose. That's so beautiful. Thank you to whoever gifted me a membership, a billionfold return to you in my Kaisi voice. I know that's right, a billionfold return to you. Love that, because our gifts go out and they radiate and they expand through the universe and return to us a billionfold. All that you give, it returns to you a billionfold. That's what I pray for you. So, as spiritual beings, magical beings, mystical beings, witches, wizards, magicians, occultists. It is important for us to be in alignment with the moon, the cycles of the moon, the sun, what new moon, full moon. This is a lunar eclipse. It's called a blood moon, pardon me, because the way that the earth will come in between the sun and the moon, the earth will sit right in between the sun and the moon. And the light that is refracted will only let certain light rays through, so the moon will appear blood. Wow, it's a blood moon. Oh my God. It's a blood moon. So for Christian witches, for all the magical people, even if you don't know if you're a Christian witch, even if you never heard of a Christian witch, join us in the ritual. It's free. It's open to everyone. I don't like to say free. I more like to say complimentary, because it's not free. You must invest your time and energy to be there and conduct the ritual. There's no charge for this ritual, because I'm in some of our rituals, it's a candle burning ritual and I burn the candles and I set up everything. This is not a candle burning ritual. This is a ritual that each person will be conducting, and I will be leading the ritual as I do it. So we're going to do it together this coming Sunday night at 9 p.m. And I want to let you know that I am, oh my goodness, there's so much good energy going on in the universe right now. I want to let you know that as a manifestation coach, as a teacher, I am looking for 5 women that I can support in growing spiritually, creating comma checks, and traveling the world with us. We travel the world to incredible destinations. So if that's you, you're going to get an email from me if you're on the email list to book a call and let's chat with one of our incredible transformation specialists. Let's chat, because we are in a magnificent growth phase, and I want to work with more of you to get your spirit right, which will create your dream life. It starts in here. It starts in here. Okay? So I love you, and I will see you this Sunday. Blood moon. Mm. Lunar eclipse. Full moon in Pisces. Peace. Pisces out.